Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome to another edition of the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast. I'm your host, Alex Whiteley, and yes, this is a second consecutive podcast this weekend. We released one yesterday, we're going to release one today, and we're going to probably release one tomorrow as well. It's of a similar fashion throughout the DARWIN Festival. I'm working around the clock to try and bring you everything great that's going on around the town. And today, your show that you're going to listen to today is going to be an interview I did with James at the Alb, and it was a really good chat. I really like James. I met him a couple of weeks ago. We hit it off really well, and as you can hear from I've listened back to the interview. Obviously, I edited it, but you can hear there's a good chemistry between us. We really got on really well, and we're going to work together again at some point. This is what I love about this gig. What I love about podcasting is you get to meet new people and network and find people that you really gel with, and this is an example of that. And I really look forward to working again with James. And do you know what? He's got an event going on at the DARWIN Festival too, which is on Friday the 15th of February at 6:30 at the Alb, and he's going to be talking about the evolution of alcohol production. I'm going to be there. I've already said I'm going to be there. It said it's free alcohol on a Friday night, and I was like, yes, sign me up. Go drink mead with him. I don't know what he explains in the interview, kind of what that is about. He also talks about what it's like to run a bar or a pub in Shrewsbury, and the communication systems that they all work together with. It's quite a nice thing to hear, to be honest, how the pubs and the clubs all work together to make Shrewsbury a lot safer. So this is a great interview, and I hope you guys enjoy it. What I'd like you guys to do is, if you are attending events at the DARWIN Festival and you are enjoying them, I'd like you to, drop me a line to let me know what events you're going to, whether you've enjoyed them, and what events you will be going to afterwards. I'd like to, speak to people that are kind of participating with what's going on over the next couple of weeks, because it's a great event, and I really want to try and encourage people to get out of the house and get involved. So that's a good way of finding out is you guys drop me a line. You can drop me a line on my email, shrewsburybiscuitpodcast@gmail.com, or on our socials, Facebook, Instagram is at the Shrewsbury Biscuit Podcast, and on Twitter is the Shrewsbury B1. Get in touch with me and let me know what you guys are up to. And I'm going to leave you with this, and I hope you guys have a great rest of the weekend. Today I'm joined with, I didn't even get your surname, James...
HITCHIN.
James HITCHIN.
Yeah.
We met a few days ago at a meeting for the
DARWIN Festival, yeah.
Mm. And, I mentioned my podcast and your eyes lit up, and I was like, yes, I never believe it.
Yeah.
And so you work at the Alb?
Yeah, so it's a difficult job description really to actually pertain towards, which is that I started off as we're a family-run business basically. Okay, yeah. We've got 5 arms to the business, shall we say? We're like a Hindu god. We have the Alb, which is now coming into its 8th year. We bought it as a derelict pub, and
really,
yeah, it was. I mean, if you ask a lot of people, it was probably the roughest pub in town. It was. A lot of people say you wipe your feet on the way out. Really, it was that kind of venue. Oh, okay. Really, really rough, really, really dangerous, nasty environment. I'll give you a good example. So we closed down, and after we got the planning permission for what we were doing, we closed down, and we whitewashed all the windows so that we could work inside. And we put a sign in the window that said, "The Albert is now closed," and then there was a list of what we were going to do with it. So people kind of went, "Oh, that's nice. It's nice they're doing that," And I remember this old boy walking past with his little wife, and they'd obviously been married for like a million years. And he walked past the window, and he said, he started reading it, and he turned to her and he said, "The Albert is closed." He said, "That's the best thing they could have done with it." And I think that sums it up really. Anyway, so We bought it 9 years ago. Got the planning for what we wanted to do. So structure-wise, it looks like it's always been this way, but.
See, this is what I explain to people when I do the show. So I'm not originally from Shrewsbury. I've only been here since not this August, the August before. So sort of August 2017. So I'm still learning about places. I mean, and so I don't understand the history for this place. So that's really interesting to find out. I mean,
yeah. So it's when you historically look at the building, it's 200 years old. It was the Shrewsbury's first 5-star hotel.
Oh, right.
They kind of didn't need one, so within about 20 years, it became a brew house, which meant that they brewed here in the back, and then they moved it into the cellar for storage.
Oh, right.
But it was placed smack dab in what's called Smithfield Road, which is this road here.
Yeah.
Now, to give you a bit of perspective of what this would have been like 150, 160 years ago, the abattoir was over there. So the blood would run down the streets. You most of the time, what you had was farmers coming to the market, all these rich farmers. I can say that because most of my uncles are farmers. And so anyway, so we bought it. It was got planning permission to turn it into a car park. There was planning permission to try and de-license it, basically. And we've always done hospitality as a family.
Yeah.
So it was the correct choice, we think, at the right time. It was 6 months before Premier Inn opened. It was 6 months before the Butt Market opened. Loads of things that were happening down this end of town. They did a regeneration on the paving, things like that.
Yeah.
So it was just the right time. And everyone always goes, "Oh, you were lucky with that, weren't you? You were really lucky." And I go, "Well, no, it was in a business plan, and I knew what I was doing."
I'm a master genius.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like as if it was just luck, I just happened to land upon it.
This is what I do, man.
Yeah, this is what I do for a living. So I was living in Cardiff at the time, running a nightclub there.
How was that?
Yeah. So I lived in Cardiff for about 7 years. I went down and we opened a bar that was award-winning. It was called 10 Feet Tall. And 10 Feet was a really interesting venue. It got me to the right next step, and the next step was what's called Bar Orient. And then I just went from venue to venue. They were all really high-class establishments. None of them were, when I say nightclub, I mean like a really cool one. And
I've heard that, I've never been drinking in Cardiff, but I've heard it's got quite a nightlife.
It's got a cool, really cool nightlife. And what I loved about Cardiff was the kind of the spread of independence. And Shrewsbury's got this massive spread of independence as well, and that's kind of what makes it work.
Yeah.
So when we came to do the album, we talked a lot about what we were putting together and how it was going to look and what it was going to physically be, but also what it meant to everyone, which was that we were going to create something that was a crossover, a cocktail bar and a pub. Cocktail pub, there's no such a word. So we kind of just said, right, let's put those things together. And yeah, that's what it's evolved from to this day. That's kind of how it works. And now we're part of the community. I mean, we've had 3 couples get married that started their dating here, and they mentioned us in their wedding.
Wow.
One person has got one of our cocktails tattooed on her leg because she liked the knock of the cocktail so much. And my favourite is there's a couple who's named their firstborn after the Alb, so he's called Albert. Wow. Because they had their first date here.
Those are the things that really they really stick out in your mind. Yeah. When you do something like this, I mean, like. Because it's a similar thing with the podcast, really. Because I don't get paid to do this. I do it of my own free will. I grab all my kit and you'll see me sometimes, kind of trudging up the cop and more stuff. And it's when people write in and they say they really like the show, or they, like you said, dedications like that. That's really nice. So you from Cardiff to Shrewsbury.
Yeah.
What's that like as a transition? Is it
Yeah,
similar vibe? Because I mean, it's almost got a city vibe here, isn't it? A smaller city vibe, I guess, but nothing like Cardiff.
It takes a bit of time for a town or a city to catch up to some of the others. So let's just take this in terms of cocktails, for example, because it's easier to talk about cocktails as far as trends and styles and things like that. But I always used to say, when we first went to Cardiff, I say Cardiff's not ready for egg whites. And what I mean by that is we put egg whites in some of the cocktails, and I would say, and like my bartenders say, come on, let's do a cocktail with egg white, let's do a traditional sour. And I'd go, I don't think it's ready. 5 years or 6 years into us being there, or establishing 4 or 5 different cocktail bars, they were starting to get it. They were trying to just trust their bartender. We moved to Shrewsbury, and it was like going back 5 years because it was like, oh, Shrewsbury's not ready for egg whites. So we kind of have to build up. Now, today, Shrewsbury is as switched on about cocktails and about its beverage options and its craft beers as pretty much most of the other cities. I mean, I go out in Manchester quite a lot, and I would compare the kind of the audience of Shrewsbury to the audience of Manchester, and their needs and their wants are very, very similar. So we've, as a little town, got to like third city style trends, in my opinion. And that leads me on quite nicely to talk about 8, really, which is our other venue. Yeah. Because, so, I'm trying to think the actual date now. So about 18 months ago, my father's been facing kidney failure for the last 10 years, I think.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
No. And there's good that comes out of this. There's good that comes out of it. So about 18 months ago, my sister gave my dad a kidney.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
really
she had one knocking about, so she was like, "Hey, do you want this? This one works really well." And my sister's super fit, super healthy. Like, she's crazy. So like, she ran the Shrewsbury half marathon, and she came in the top like 20 or 30 women.
I bet that kidney was like, oh, thank God, I get chill for a bit now.
Thank God it's over. And she just won't relent. She won't give up. She's like, no, I've got to. So she does lots of stuff like that. So she gave Dad a kidney, and there was this moment where, so John, my brother, and his partner, and Katie, and Dad were all at the hospital, and Mom was with my niece, Katie's daughter, and they were away, and I was sat in the aisle completely on my own, just sat there like this. And in that moment, I sort of went, right, I'm gonna start writing a new business, and because we've done, there's sort of this karmatic, like balancing off that needs to be done against the owl because the food's so unhealthy. I'm very obvious about this. Like, we cook everything in butter if we can. Like, butter's well tasty. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, but the thing is, there's so much in Shrewsbury that you can get that isn't that. When you've had a few beers, it's better than a nice greasy burger,
carbs and burgers and stuff like that, and fish and chips and pies. Yeah,
right on. Yeah.
So I sort of said, I started to write this business plan, and we put it together. And what it was a health food venue, or a venue that targeted a healthier lifestyle. So not vegan, vegetarian, not preaching anything, but just saying, is there a better way to cook something?
Yeah.
Is there a better way for us to go, let's prepare this without a fryer?
I guess inspired by your sister, right? Yes.
Inspired by exactly what was happening at the time. And it was to sort of say this, because everyone assumed that, like, my father had kidney problems because of drinking. And that's very, very rare. That kidney problems don't come most of the time from drinking. I mean, liver problems do. Yeah. But kidney problems tend to just be something's going to happen. And it could happen to any of us, you know? The sort of the mortality of life is a brief reminder in that moment. Yeah. You know, this
we're all
car
bound
could
to fail our MOT at some point.
Yes, exactly. So so in this wonderful moment where Katie was giving Dad a kidney, I sat down, I wrote this business plan. We started to put it together as a family, and we started to think about what we were going to call it, and we realised that it came from the family, and there's 8 of us in the family, so that's why we called it 8.
Great.
So this time last year, we were renovating what was previously a place, a vegan restaurant on top of the Cop that went into administration, and we took over that, and we started work on what is now a very, very happy and thriving business. Yeah. So that's the other arm. Yeah, that's the other one.
I'll have to pop my head in sometime.
Good coffee, man. Good coffee.
Yeah, I'm all about my coffee.
Yeah, Iron and Fire do our coffee. They're the roasting house is. I mean, if Simon Boyd wasn't there, you'd be able to see their roasting house. That's how close it is.
Wow.
Yeah. And the guy is super cool and super geeky.
I'll have to pop in there. I'm an honorary Colombian. I say this a lot. My wife's Colombian, so I've been to
Colombia.
Yeah. So coffee's my thing, man.
You pretty much own Colombia. I think that's how it works.
I remember actually we nearly got into an argument once because we like to buy like coffee beans from all around the world and try different coffee, and we tried some Parisian coffee. Yeah. I was like, Paris makes amazing coffee, man. Yeah. The look on her face. Change the subject very quickly. Oh,
I like to wind up brewers because the other business we've got is a craft beer shop in 8, and it's like a little cave of delicious beers and stuff like that. And I wasn't really into beer very much, and then I got into craft beer because for me it was stronger and it had punches
I
and
love
punches
my
of
IPA.
flavour.
I love-
Yeah,
yeah,
you
I love
cannot. I mean, some of the stuff like Loca Poly, the guys in North Wales, they're doing Simcoe Citras and Victoria's Secret hops, and they are absolutely at their peak. And there's no pretentiousness within what they're doing, because people think craft beer is pretentious. It's not. They're just brewing with a very expensive hops, but in an incredibly good way. So sometimes I like to wind up the brewers because they're easy to wind up, because they're very passionate about what they do.
Of course, man.
So, like, I remember we were in Salopian and we were chatting away with the brewer at the Salopian, and he said, "Yeah, and this is the so and so expression of one of the black bottles, and I love the black bottle range from Salopian. It's really good beer." And they've, I said, well, you know, the problem with all this stuff is it's just dirty lager, isn't it? And honestly, if his face hadn't, if he could have hit the floor with his, it was so, and I was like, mate, I'm only joking. It's fine.
I was actually in the Salopian a few weeks ago. It's just after Christmas, and they had a beer there called Stay Puffed.
Right, yeah,
And it had,
Stay
like-
Puft Marshmallow, Tiny Rebel.
Ruined me.
Yeah.
Ruined me.
Yeah, it's a nice strong beer.
It's good.
I find it really sweet. But Tiny Rebel, they're based in Swansea, and they've been doing really. Yeah, they've just done a gin and juice, which is cool.
I think I might follow them on Facebook. Is it a couple?
No. Tiny Rebel's huge now. They've got
okay.
like tap houses and stuff.
Okay.
They're worth checking out. They're really cool.
I want to try and find more from my other show. I might edit this out, but I'm trying to find an IPA sponsor or someone that can send us beer so we can. I used to do a thing called Cheers for the Beer.
Oh right, yeah.
So I buy out different things, and I bought this like really little bottle of beer that was like £2, and it was horrible. And, you know, I was like trying different beers.
Yeah.
I tried to get in touch with Beer 52. They do like a Loot Crate style subscription service where they send you out beer. Yeah. And I tried to get them to send me out one, and they were like, "Yeah, we'll send you one." Never arrived. So I'd look.
Well, if you want to, I tell you what would be really interesting. I know you're going to edit this out. What would be really interesting is we could do a podcast about craft beer, and the shop would sponsor it. So we'd just get 5 beers. Me and you sit down and drink them and talk through them.
So maybe we could try something.
Yeah, that's all right.
Here.
Yeah.
Anyway,
right. So back on track.
Back on track.
So we did basement jars, and then we've got a small hotel. I mean, that's, to be honest, it's one of the most profitable parts of our business, but it's also the most boring part of our business by far. Person turn up, we go, "This your room, yo?" And they go, "Oh, thankful room." And I go, "Yeah, cheers, no problem." And
Don't forget TripAdvisor.
Yeah.
Bye.
But no, I mean, the funny thing is that like TripAdvisor doesn't even matter, because people don't actually check the TripAdvisor for hotel rooms, because they book through Booking.com, and then you get the reviews, and like Booking.com give you quite a lot of control over your site.
Yeah.
So it just looks good, because they want to sell your rooms as well.
Yeah.
So it's like the least stressful part of my business, apart from when a boiler explodes, or suddenly someone turns up and they're booked for 2 people because they're apartments, and then like 10 people turn up.
So you've got a strong presence in this town, man.
Yes. So, and then my other hats. So I'm chair of Pub Watch now. So
What's Pub Watch?
So there's National Pub Watch, which is obviously there's pub watches virtually in every town, and they all run in completely different ways because they're all different types of bodies. But ours has been accredited as being very much the way they want the rest of the pub watches to work. So this year, me and Alex are going to be speaking at the National Pub Watch. It's the first time they've ever invited a landlord to speak at this.
Oh, okay.
And basically, on its very core basic level, it's a list of people we don't want in our pubs, and we all share that between each other in a very safe way. So it has to be data protected. So we have to have, I've got an encrypted app called Disk. We use the app, and we can share, and we've got a list of all the people, what they've done, when they've offended. And then beyond that, we have a radio system in Shrewsbury, and Shrewsbury's got the most amount of cameras per capita. Now, you may think, oh my God, it's like, 1984, but actually those cameras are just there to protect you. They're just there to help you. There's someone watching them, but they're only interested in people that are messing out in pubs, or people that are stealing from shops.
Yeah.
People that are attacking
It's quite
your
common
economy.
now. I mean, I've got a very long history in security, and I kind of understand a little bit. But I've worked with in Telford Town Centre, for example.
Yeah.
I know how extensive their camera systems are. And things like that. It's important, I think. So it's really good, and it's good that you guys communicate with each other. So
they have a radio. And every pub and every bar and every restaurant will have a radio as well, which we all individually pay for. And with that, and all the shops have it. So I think there's something in the region of 400 radios out there. And then when something happens, we're there to deal with it on the ground floor, and also we're informed about it. So, for example, this is a real story, and I can't give you any names or anything like that.
Data protection, you know,
But yeah, data
GDPR,
protection. But it's quite an interesting one. So it's two guys, and they're in a bar the other end of town. They were in the Loopy Show, right? And they're in the Loopy Show, and
Classy.
well, nice, cool little venue,
yeah.
cool venue. I like. Dear Tellers are doing a great job. So they're in the Loopy Shoe, and they decide that what they want to do is start a fight with one of the customers in the bar. Okay, and the reason for doing that is because they are oiks. You know, the true sense of the word oik. And they decide they want to start a fight with somebody. So they're removed from the Loopy Shoe because they start a fight, and then they start fighting each other. So the cameras are on them straight away outside the front. They calm down. They walk over the road. They try and get into what was Fever at the time. So they try and get into there. Cameras already notify the doorman. The doorman says, no, so you're not coming in. So they walk over to Montgomery Tower. Exactly the same thing happens again. So this is when they get clever. They think, all right, we'll just go straight to the butter market because the cameras aren't going to follow us there. So they walk all the way to the butter market and the cameras follow them all the way down. And they get in the queue and they stand in the queue for 20 minutes and they get to the front of the queue and the doorman goes, you're not coming in, lads. So they go, right, okay, and you can see they're sort of, the cogs turning in their heads. Let's get a taxi, right? So they get in a taxi, and they get all the way to the other end of town. They get to C21s, and the cameras follow the taxi all the way to town. And just as the taxi pulls up outside the front, the doorman meets them at the door and says, "There's no point bothering, lads. You aren't going to get in." And we just watch the taxi leave the town. And the point of that is, we're meant to have a cool, vibrant, exciting, but safe nightlife.
Yeah.
And if people mess about like that, that just spoils everyone's night, basically. And it's all about having an economy. So, yeah. Again, on its base level, that's what Pub Watch is.
I was speaking to Alex recently, and I was just saying, there's a common theme that's running through these podcasts. I mean, I've been doing it for about 3 months now, and I'm noticing that one of the most important things about this town is communication.
Yes.
And I think it is a staple of what makes this town very, very impressive, and that's a true example of.
Yeah, I say to Alex, Shrewsbury's built on handshakes. It's not built on emails, and it's not built on this. It's built on people talking to each other and go, right, this is a problem. Let's fix it, and let's fix it together, and let's do something now. That's where the nighttime economy is so good.
And I bet the Alb isn't in a race with other pubs either. I bet you work well together.
We all work well, and if anything, I get excited when new venues open. So Chappers, who's got the Vaults, has also got the Station. He did that out as a gin bar. It's really cool. Just 2 doors down, the guys have taken over the Bull. 2 guys, Tom and his partner, and they've taken over the Bull. Now that is a rough pub. That was, back in the day, that's a real proper rough pub. But they're turning it around, they're renovating, and they're tidying it up, and it's still going to be a pub, and it's still going to have that at its core. It's going to have the soul of a pub, but it'll be nicer, and they won't tolerate certain things anymore. And the more nice venues we have down my end of town, the better it is for me.
Yeah.
Because it's like the ice cream cart theory. There's 2 ice cream carts are better than 1.
It's like I grew up in Wrexham. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
I grew up in Wrexham, which is quite a big drinking town.
Yeah, it is. It's a solid working class town. Yeah.
And so I grew up. I used to having bars everywhere. And if you ever drank in Wrexham, I mean, I've got listeners and all friends that listened from Wrexham. Yeah, it's literally pub, bar, pub.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not always great. I mean,
there's a cool one up there. We went to a cocktail competition. It might not still be there, but it's kind of underground. It was a cocktail bar. I want to say Voodoo Moon. Yeah, Voodoo Moon. It might be called.
I don't remember that at all.
Oh right, okay. No, I mean we went to a cocktail comp.
I've been gone from Wrexham a while now. But they're constantly changing. And I mean, like, it was just a great place to grow up if you're growing up around kind of that kind of lifestyle. And I moved to Telford, which was pretty much like Emmerdale, the local, and then, moving to Shrewsbury. I'm now a different person to the guy I was when I was growing up in Wrexham. I don't want to go to the butter market and dance around with 16-year-olds. These kids that are half my size. And, I want to go and sit in a nice quiet bar that's got a nice atmosphere. And that's why I love Shrewsbury, because you got that choice. You can go there, you can go there. And I guess it's kind of been like that for many a while. Like,
Shrewsbury kind of... I worked here before I left for Cardiff. And I mean, we've always had cool bars, but I think the problem was there was no transition between the 2 formats. So you either went to a pub or you went to an expensive wine bar.
Reflex back in the day.
Or you went to a club. I mean, that was obviously because of licensing laws, but there was very little in between. And what we do here at the Alb is we provide that bit in between. And there's lots of venues now that are kind of like that. You know, you don't want to go to a proper pub. You know, I mean, like one of my favourite places to go. I love the Nag's Head. Oh man, there's some really, really cool old school pubs. I mean, the Nag's Head. He's the longest standing landlord in Shrewsbury, and I mean, he's been there for. I did
pop into there, and I was like, "You want to be on my podcast?" And I think they kind of look at me like, "You what?"
Yeah. What's a podcast, mate?
Yeah.
All right, Mole.
I do want to get in there because it's quite a fascinating place, isn't it? It's a very,
Yeah.
It's.
Have you met the cat?
No.
Oh yeah, you've got to meet the cat. Yeah. Indy. Yeah. She's got her own Facebook page.
Is she?
She's got more friends than you and me. Trust me. Indy's so cool. Well, I don't have Facebook, no, so that's how I guarantee. But she's really cool. She's this little mangy ginger cat, and she's just angry as hell, and she just sits in the pub.
Her on all the.
She just does a stall, and she has a stall in the corner of the pub, and nobody bothers Indy. She's like a Rottweiler.
Don't need a bouncer.
No, I tell you what, no. But so that's a cool pub in the Nag's Head, and then you look at the Yorkshire House, and that's like a proper old school rocker pub, and I love that place.
Is that what that? Because I walked past that when we went to the meeting of the so I was close to there, and I looked at that pub, and I was like, I bet they played dominoes there.
No. I mean, you walk in on the left hand side is a giant.
I felt like I've been really insulting there, but
no. There are pubs like that. There's plenty of pubs like that, and there's nothing wrong with it because, these old boys and stuff like that. These guys who love dominoes, there are pubs in town for that. I mean, you look at the Three Fishes. That's a proper local quality pub. But the Yorkshire House, they're famous for having rock bands on.
Oh, I might go in there.
And the jukebox is cool. And there's a big, I want to say. I'm really not used to the fancy universe that it comes from, but it's a video game that you play online, and it's a humongous video game.
Like Fortnite
or World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, sorry. Yeah. And one of the orcs from World of Warcraft is just stood on the left hand side. It's like quite famous for the fact they've got this giant one of those, and then there's a wizard in the corner, and then it's the big thing about the York is the jukebox. Because everybody fights to get on the jukebox, and so you, and it's he's been running that pub for a long time, and it's just cool.
That's my kind of scene. My favourite place in the whole world ever to go and drink is the Cavern in Liverpool.
You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it.
So that's my kind of.
But it's very very small. But that's kind of the treat of the Yorkshire House. Really is how kind of lovely it is and stuff like that. I've ended so many staff do's or staff nights out there. Mm-hmm. And when we go out as landlords, so we'll go out, and it's just an awful.
Can't imagine what kind of night that's.
Just a bloody nightmare.
There's lipstick on this glass.
No, it's bloody worse than that. Because most of the time you're trying to make sure that you don't get put on pub watch. Make a good article with chair of pub watch, put on pub watch. No, I mean, so we go out and there'll be about 10 of us, and they're all different landlords, and so we go places. And our favourite thing to drink there is Nuki Brown, and I don't know why, but we've just got this in our head that we love Nuki Brown.
You can't beat Nuki.
Proper rough drinkers beer. It is a rough drinkers beer. Yeah, so we'll go in and go 12 Nuki Brown, just empty the fridge of Nuki Brown.
I'll have a bishop's finger.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's a proper. Like if you saw a bloke at the end of the bar, and you envision what he looks like, and he's drinking a Nuki Brown at the bottle, you'd think, oh right, he's got hate tattooed on his knuckles, and he's, you know what I mean? He's a scary guy. You're like, oh no, I don't know if I can. Yeah. So the Shrewsbury's got that side of it, which is like the old school pubs, and then it's got the nice bars now and the nice restaurants, and then it has got the top end. Like you look at Harvey's on Fifth Street, and that is the top end of drinking and dining. Yeah. I agree with you, it's not the kind of place I'd go to, but there's a market for it.
It's there.
Yes, that's right.
That's the point. Yeah. That's there. And one of the, like we said about communication and things like what we're talking about, is there are so many like events and things that come into Shrewsbury where everybody just kind of gels together and gets together and do. They all help each other out with these events, and we're talking coffee shops and bars and share spaces, and there's all these like businesses that kind of gel together and get involved, and obviously upcoming now is the DARWIN festival, and I know you guys are taking part in things. The old post office is taking part in things.
Yeah.
The churches are all joining in hands to get part in things. It's brilliant to see.
Yeah,
And I know you're holding something here, right?
Yeah, so I'm doing the 15th of Feb.
It's in there.
Yeah. I remember it because I thought, I'm gonna have to work all of all of Valentine's. No, so I'm doing the 15th, and I'm doing the. I don't want to big up my lecture too much, but I'm doing the only one where you get to drink during it. I just want to say
15th, okay.
Yeah, 15th. I'm doing the only one where alcohol's actually like forced upon you. So I don't want to encourage people to come, but you should all come now. No, don't come now, for God's sake. If you come now, just be us sat in a room and I'm going to be like, no, it's on the 15th of Feb. So mine's in the evening, it's going to be 6:30, and what I'm doing is I'm doing the evolution of alcohol production. Now, most of the time, when you think of that, you think, that's going to be just like...
Just going to feed everyone mead.
Yeah. Well, it might actually be a bit more like that than what I was... So, like, when you think about the alcohol production, you think, it's going to be sort of what I would call a Melvin. Now, I'm really sorry if any of your listeners are called Melvin, but it's just this kind of atypical... If you work in a place and you don't know a Melvin, I'm sorry to say that you are the Melvin in your workplace. And if I have to describe Melvin, in every single job experience, there is somebody who takes everything too far and is too pedantic. And my impression of, hello, I'm Melvin, you see, and that's not exactly how you do a mojito. You do a mojito like this. And again, I'm really sorry if any of your listeners are called Melvin or sound like that. But the nasal resonance that comes with the voice does sort of denote the type of person, the pedantic Peter,
I think I know a couple of Melvins.
Yes, there you go.
So I'm not the Melvin because I know a Melvin.
So this room that we're sat in now is the cocktail bar room, and it's designed and built and constructed, because I built it myself, for specifically cocktails and teaching. Apart from once a month when it's
great for podcasting too.
It's good for podcasting. Yeah, and it's also pretty good for we use it for the quiz. So we have I've got the quiz tonight. It's Disney tonight. Yeah, I'm really excited about it because I've done a round called Disney. So you have to guess the Disney character based on the knee. That's the loosest I've ever done.
Amazing.
Yeah. And then what did we do? So we did Lord of the Rings, and I did a whole round on Lords and a whole round on Rings. That really annoyed everybody. That really, really wound them up.
We came here for hobbits.
Yes. So, and I know it's family friendly, so I've got a tiny. You may have to cut this out, but we also play a round called Porno or Porn Yes, and they're either pornos I've made up, based around one theme, or real ones that exist, right? So my favourite one I've made up this week is Hannah Does Montana. Just the whole of Montana. Just the whole place. Debbie Does Dallas. Like I've got a job to do, and it's Montana. That's what
Montana's got a great way of doing a census.
Yeah.
I like that. That's quite cool.
So anyway, we do the quiz. So this room we're in here is where we do the cocktail classes. And we do tons of them. So Friday, we do them every 2 hours. On a Saturday, we'll be booked out. We've got 5 on this weekend, and there'll be groups of up to 24 people. So for example, this Saturday, which is quite a quiet Saturday, we've got 4 classes on actually, and no group is smaller than 12 or 13 people. So you're going to see about 70 people come through here, learn how to make cocktails, have a go at making cocktails, and then pour them out and drink them and go off and have fun, food and whatever else. So it's the perfect room to do classes. And I do a more formal version of the class. So I do a gin-based one, which I cleverly called the gin introduction. You see,
I love it.
I put a G on the front.
Yeah.
So we do. I know it's terrible. So we do a more serious version where we do a history of gin, and we do things like that. And then I do a rum rebellion, which is just about the history of rum. That's really cool. That's new for us.
Where's all the rum gone?
Yes, exactly. And then we do a craft beer one with whiskey, and that's cool because you get a big burger afterwards as well. So it made sense that I would do a kind of even more advanced version of what I'd already established. So my lecture is going to be the history of alcohol and how it's affected society and how society has affected it.
Oh, okay.
I'll
get what you
and then I'll be making cocktails throughout as well to demonstrate why it was important that bartenders were there and what bartenders did to change the world, because Winston Churchill said that the landlord is the aristocrat of the working man, and I think that's really apt, because the landlord or the bartender has always been the shoulder to lean on, and has always been a shoulder to cry on, and always been a counsel, and always been there to support the community, but has also provided a space for the community to sit down. They banned the pubs in France for quite a long period of time.
Really?
Because it caused people to sit down in groups. That was the problem.
Yeah. I heard about this somewhere.
Yes,
Something
yes.
about wine. Something about wine.
Well,
wine bars and things like that. They kind of stopped it, didn't they?
Well, basically, the problem is you get a load of people and they're going to sit down in a room and they're going to sit there and they're going to talk. And what's the first thing you do when you go to the pub with your mate? You set the world to rights.
Yeah.
You go, oh, well, Brexit's terrible, and I should think, oh, I think Brexit's really good. And you go, oh, right, okay. And then suddenly you're like, well, let's just burn everything. Let's burn it all down.
Evolution!
yeah, exactly. So they...
Revolution. I said evolution.
Hopefully one should come after the other. I think it's the one thing you can't force. I think you can't just think yourself into longer fingers.
No.
You're like, oh, I really wish I could reach the remote. And if I just think hard enough, maybe my fingers will grow.
Give Daddy gills.
Yeah,
I need some gills.
I want to be like Cast. No, not Castaway. What's it? Waterworld.
Yeah.
Awful apocalypse film that I couldn't stop watching.
Kevin Costner.
I know, but brilliant film. But just gack as well.
That's really good. I might come to that. I mean, so it's not about mead and about the medieval times.
I mean, I think I could talk about mead for 1,000 years, but.
We want to do something that's relevant, though. I mean, Darwin is talking about evolution and how things change, and things have changed. I mean, like progressively. I think nights out. I mean, I do a lot of work at the prison, and we stayed overnight there once. I did a show for a different podcast. We stayed overnight, and rather than get this really eerie feel in prison, you could just hear the butter market going. And.
Imagine if you were a prisoner when that was there.
That's one of the things I was going to say. Is like, imagine, can you...
like your whole life is just hearing thousands of children having a great time.
Yeah, Fat Man Scoop.
Yeah, Fat Man just being tormented by Fat Man Scoop at a distance.
Man Scoop, work again.
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, that's... we don't wish that upon war criminals. I mean, what's going on?
Well, the thing is with that, you'd get Fat Man Scoop, and then you'd get the ding dong.
Oh yeah,
the next dream tour. So you get like all sorts of noise.
Yeah, see, I get the hiss of the buses. I didn't know about the pneumatic brakes on buses as much as when I moved into here. And every morning I wake up to, and you go, oh my God, I hate it. That noise, and it's grates in my soul. But after 7 years, it's just.
How do you guys deal with the river? Is it
so we did a lot. I mean, that's a super serious subject because obviously death. Up until this point, I think it's regarded as a bad thing. I think we're all in agreement. Yeah. Death bad, yo. Yeah. So the river itself. I mean, we did a lot of work last year with it. We raised some money through Pubwatch and through PCC, Police Crime Commissioner funding. And we took that money and we got what's called throw lines and life vests, and they're called big orange bags that are now in the pubs. So they're not just on the side of the road, they're in the pubs. And every single member of door staff in town, as much as we can, is fully trained on throw line training.
Oh, brilliant.
So you've got a force that's out there. I mean, if you think you've got, 60 town centre pubs, and most of them got door staff on the weekends, that means there's an army of 60 out there. And then also I fund a thing, one of my little budgets from Pubwatch I use to fund what's called the Ambassador Programme, which is something me and Alex came up with. And on very, very busy nights and very busy weekends, we have two guys who are trained SIA, so they're both door staff, but they've got radios on them, they've got coats that say what they are and everything like that, and they've got taxi numbers and cards, and they help vulnerable people, but they also deal with conflicts happening in venues that door staff can't deal with themselves on their own, or in 4 instances have pulled people out the river. And I mean is it
a common occurrence and people just?
So
'cause I know there was a young man that.
Yeah, he slipped and fell. Yeah. I mean, it was horrible, really, when you think about it. I think people don't realise what happens when you hit the water. I think they think you're going to hit the water and then I'll just swim back to the shore. But what happens is you hit the water and it's so cold your muscles lock up, and you just sink like a stone. There's no coming back from it, really. And they think, Well, I mean, people have got, we talk about mental health in this country, and we talk about the fact that, you look at the way the Europeans deal with mental health, you look at the way the Swedish deal with mental health, and it's a serious, massive issue that if you're depressed...
I could talk for hours about this. I mean,
of course.
We could break out the Joe Rogan on that one. I really could.
Yeah.
So you deal with that well. I mean, what about the floods as well? I mean, that's another point. I mean,
So
does it flood this far? I mean, I guess it must.
Well, no. So we get a really interesting part of the flooding in this particular event, which is that it will flood and it won't touch us. It'll be fine. And then what happens is all the water has soaked into the ground and floods 2 days after, which is an absolute treat, I must say.
So it drains nicely.
It just drains into my cellar.
Since you bought it?
Yeah. 4 times now that's happened. But we've got stuff in place now. So I've got big pumps and stuff like that. And we've got holes inside the building where we can do, pump out. And then in one case, when I took a holiday, they had to call the fire brigade out to pump the cellar because it was getting close to the electrics. It was getting that kind of close.
One day you might have to dig out oars and row.
Yeah. Well, most interestingly, in our cellar, I found all these chains. I was like, "Oh, wait, what's going on here? What kind of pub is this? I want to know. I don't know what's going on in here, but maybe lick of paint. So sterilise everything. But it turns out the reason there was all the chains is because the barrels used to be made of wood, the beer barrels, and they used to just accept that the cellar would flood, and they just chain the beer down and then keep pulling it through. Because of course it's in a contained unit and but the beer barrels would just be floating around. it's like well, ba-dum.
Eric, my pint tastes of mercury.
Yeah, it's got a very silty quality. Yeah, it's funny that, isn't it? Yeah. But I don't think they cared really. But yeah, so it used to chain all the barrels down. And
that's crazy. I mean, I've got an idea for this show. I can mention it on the show, but I'm not necessarily going to roll it out. But I have an idea of going around. I wanted to get like a tour guide or someone. I've got someone in mind to just every once a month, even just to find an old building.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
Yeah.
The history of one of these buildings. Do
That's
one
cool.
of them once a month.
Yeah.
I think people will love that on the show because I bet there's so much history in places like these pubs. Like you said, there used to be a hotel, and
Oh yeah, they've all got.
But there's so much that's happened in this building that you just wouldn't know about.
Yeah. What's really interesting with Shrewsbury is some of the architecture, and there's some things that you wouldn't even recognise as being cool. Right? There's there's a footbridge over there. By God, that sun's bright. There's a footbridge over there that goes over to Frankwell car park.
Yeah.
And you think, oh God, it's just like a big metal structure. And you think, that's a bit weird. But it's the world's first bridge that's supported only on one side. And architecturally and physically, it's actually an amazing feat.
Is that the one that's in the quarry, yeah?
No, not the nice one. It doesn't look very nice. It looks like a big steel blur. You know what I mean? I mean, blur is the only word I can use to describe it. It's quite garish. But if you look it up, if you go online, you look it up, because one of the guys on the bids board was talking to me about it, and he's an architect, and he was saying like what an amazingly interesting venue thing it is, and he was talking about that. But you've got stuff in Shrewsbury where they've just tried stuff. They've gone, oh, go on, let's try it. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. The bridge, they didn't need to do that. They just did it because, well, there's the funding, and let's see if we can do it. Yeah. Because if we can prove we can do it here, then maybe one day we might be able to do it somewhere where we desperately need to do that because there's no support on the other side or the ground's silted or something like that.
Brilliant. See?
There's stuff like that.
This town's amazing.
I know, yeah.
So look, we'll give your event a proper shout out.
Oh, yeah.
So it was the 15th of February, right?
15th of February, it's starting at 6:30, I believe.
At the Alb.
At the Alb, that's right, upstairs.
How can you get tickets for that, or is it just to turn up on the day?
I believe it's just turn up on the day.
Is it ticketed? Is it a price or is it free?
It's free.
Okay.
It's alcohol for free. I mean, it's just amazing. What we're doing is I'm using it to promote the business, really.
Yeah.
But it's a free event where you can come and try some cocktails and hear about the history of alcohol.
And it's a Friday, guys. Everybody loves
it's
a Friday
as well. Yeah, exactly. It's the perfect window of drinking opportunity, I believe. Yeah.
And if you need confirmation of this, go on to originalshrewsbury.co.uk, not .com.co.uk, and you'll be able to find the events there. Are you guys on social media or anything like that where people can find out what you guys do, what you're up to?
For all this stuff, or what you mean in general?
Just in general.
Yeah, you can find. I mean, the Alb is the best way to keep updated with a lot of our stuff is through Instagram. But you'll be able to find the Alberts at Albert Shrews. Then we've got Eater8, which is at Eater8. We've got the craft beer shop, which is called Basement Jars, and that's called at Basement Jars.
I'm checking that out.
It's a really you must go down there. It's like a little cove. I found the cellar when we took over the building, and it's like a little tiny hatch, and we basically ripped open the hatch and took up the floorboards and built a new thing and put a new staircase in. And you go down, and there's this really cool space that we didn't know what to do with. And there was a fireplace in there, so we got it de-dampened. That's the technical.
Yeah,
not at all. And we now it's this really cool little craft beer shop.
So when you're not doing hospitality and you're not running pubs or hotels and things like that, what do you like to do to distract yourself? You got a hobby? Is there anything you like to do, or are you just like feet up on the sofa, soaps? You don't watch Hollyoaks, do you?
Me and my partner are both big gamers, so we both play a lot of games. We both play that together.
What do you like to play?
I'm not a big fan of playing online. Right, I'm not a huge fan of playing online. I'm not a massive fan because the first gaming PC I had was probably Windows 95, and like I've got editions of PC format from my childhood. So a long time ago. So I'll play on Steam. Mostly I play things like old school remakes and things like that. So I play Age of Empires and
break out the Command and Conquer.
Yes, Command & Conquer, StarCraft, things like that. Anything that a mouse was invented for, in my opinion.
I like to do stuff like that. I mean, my favourite thing is Football Manager. I love Football Manager. It's just something you can disappear into. And I guess things like that are really important, especially when you've got such a busy. I bet it's loud as hell in here a lot, and you need to have your quiet time as well.
Yeah, you need to depress, not distress. You need to depress. And then I play mostly. I kill aliens with guns. That's my fave. That's my fave thing to do.
Sounds like a perfect Friday
Halo
night to me.
Yeah, lots of Halo.
Okay, so I always end up for sure. If you guys are going to get used to this now, but I'm going to ask you a question. What does Shrewsbury mean to you?
Ooh, that's an evil question. Isn't it?
Yeah. Ask everyone because that's what we want to know.
I think Shrewsbury's vast amount of potential for what it is, for the size of it. And I feel, what does it mean to me? I mean, it's difficult for me because Shrewsbury's home, because I was, I'm from Much Wenlock, and we used to go out in Shrewsbury, and Shrewsbury was where all our mates lived, and, it was every day for us, The
amount of people that call Shrewsbury Hutched home. It's just a great thing.
It's just what it is.
And the reason I say that is because I've said it a few times on the show. People are like, he just says the same things over and over again, but it's true. A lot of people grow up in a town and think, I need to get out of here.
Yeah.
I need to spread my wings. I'm a peacock. I want to fly. And so it's nice to see that a lot of people are just so content just to stay here. It's a great town. There's just what's the point in going anywhere? Yeah,
I mean, I went away.
Cardiff,
and I lived in France for 2 years as well. And but I went away, but it was never that I'd never come home. I was always coming home to Shrewsbury. That was the thing. I was always coming back to here. And I feel, I mean, that's about it really. It's difficult to quantify a feeling about a town that has been so close to your heart and has meant so much over a period of time. Mm-hmm. Because I think if I'd lived in Shrewsbury, like yourself, if you didn't know the town that well, then to you, Shrewsbury could be anything. It could be, this, and this. But to me, it's just like an old boot, isn't it?
And that's the fascination for me. And that's why I do this show, is because I grew up in Wrexham and I couldn't wait to get out of there. I moved to Telford, couldn't wait to get out of there. I come to Shrewsbury and I never want to leave. I love it here. And that's what I wanted to understand. So, thank you for sitting with me and for being so accommodating towards the show as well. Hopefully we can work together again. Definitely going to come to one of your quizzes sometime. If you do a Batman quiz, there's no point inviting anybody else.
I didn't even think about. I'm such a big Batman fan.
Or a DC comic book thing.
Oh no, so the next one's Marvel. So the one we've got tomorrow is right. So let me work it out. So it's Disney tonight. Mm-hmm. Next month, so February. Towards the end of February, find us on Instagram. We're doing Marvel, and then the one after that is Doctor Who.
Wow.
Because I'm a massive Doctor Who geek, and I'm trying to find a way to make it cool if you're not a Whovian. And then
I'm not a Hoovian. I've never been able to get into it.
I love
I
it.
appreciate the community, obviously, because
Yeah,
I'm a massive nerd. If
yeah.
somebody told me, "Oh, you don't like Batman, Batman's for children," I'd be like, "No, because I like Batman. Leave me alone." So I appreciate your
Yeah.
Great for things like that. Make sure you guys follow the album on Instagram. Make sure if you got something to say. You got something to say? If you got a suggestion or anything like that, make sure you drop me a line as well. On we are at the Shrewsbury Biscuit on Instagram and on Facebook. We are at the Shrewsbury B1 on Twitter. I need to change that. I really do. And you can also email me, which is the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast. Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast @gmail.com. Take a look on Original Shrewsbury. .co.uk for everything that's going on with the Darwin Festival, and I look forward to your evolution of alcohol.
Yeah.
Sounds really good.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Cheers.